Hi, I'm Natalie,
I'm Candice.
And I'm Danny.
and we are following Soulspiration.
In today's episode, we talk about the need to be saved. Some of us have a habit of looking outside of ourselves for the answers, or for someone else to save the day, whether that be financially, emotionally, and or spiritually. Today, we discuss how to move through that and be your own Princess Charming. We hope you'll enjoy. Hello, girls.
Hello.
How are we today?
Very good.
Proper grammar.
Thank you. I had to think it through, but
Okay, so today I think we'll be talking about, I don't really have like a succinct way to say it, but when we are looking outside of ourselves for someone or something to save us. So whether that be financially, emotionally, spiritually, we're just looking outside of ourselves for someone to take care of us. So before we start, did you have a card, Natalie?
I do. Today's card is Princess Charming.
Ooh.
And it says, I am my own Princess Charming. I no longer wait for Prince Charming to ride up on his trusty white horse. Instead, I take the horse by the reins, loving myself and taking care of my own financial security.
Oh my God.
In this way, I got this card. I was like, you're kidding me. I didn't even know I had this card like in my deck, and it came out. I was like, oh my gosh. In this way, I make sure I am safe as I move through this amazing world. This process is an important step in my empowerment and expansion as a woman. By taking the reins of my life, I integrate the divine feminine and divine masculine energies within my own being. I honor the strengths and gifts of both these energies into my own lived experience.
Wow. I know that I say it all the time, but that really couldn't be more perfect. How is that even possible?
I know.
And such a beautiful card with a beautiful message.
Yay.
I love that.
The perfect message. I love it.
Yes. Okay, so today's topic came about because it's something that I have recently realized that I was doing. So, I've mentioned before that I'm, recently separated, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster in terms of like today's topic and where I'm at. I spent many, many years being a stay-at-home mom, and then when I started my business was like the side income, and I didn't need to be responsible for the bills and the day-to-day. It was the extra money. And so when I realized that we were going to separate for sure, and I was going to be responsible for myself and my daughter financially, 100% me, I kind of started through this process. And it started out with fear and I guess anxiety, just not knowing that I could do it, not believing in myself that I would be okay, not trusting in spirit that it would all be okay. And I kind of, got up to the top of this roller coaster, and I was like on fire. It's like, I got this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I have it all figured out, and no one is getting in my way. I am a rock star, and it is all going to work perfectly. And then, I moved and I got here, and there was a situation that came about that kind of, I don't want to say took me back to kind of the bottom of the roller coaster. It didn't take me back, but it was just being in that situation again. So I found myself back in that sort of familiar dynamic and that energy. And I immediately slipped back into looking for someone else to take care of me. And I didn't realize it in the moment. I had no awareness about it. I just knew that I was low energy. I was frustrated. I was angry, and I was, playing the victim. And a very wise woman said to me, there might be a little victim going on here. And I was like, oh yes, Yes, there is. And so I started to ask myself the questions. Why am I in victim mode? Why am I acting this way and feeling this way? I knew the situation kind of took me back to that place, but why was I allowing it to sort of devour me? And it all boiled down to me wanting to be saved again, me wanting to be taken care of, me looking to others to fix the situation, me looking to others for financial support, and really losing faith and trust in myself that I could do this. And it was a pretty big wake-up call for me to realize that I had been through it and I thought I was past it. And here I was again, back in this space of looking to be saved. And not only was I in that space, but it was sort of like derailing my entire life. Me looking to others to save me was creating almost like torment in my life. It was, showing up with the low energy, with the negativity, with everything that doesn't feel good. And having that awareness, I was like, okay, well, how do I get myself out of this? What do I do? So, I kind of came to some solutions for that for myself. But before we dive into like, what do you do with that? Did you guys have anything that you wanted to say about, looking outside of yourself, not trusting in yourself and looking to be saved? Whether it be, financially, spiritually, emotionally, anything to add?
Yeah, I just think like I was identifying with just about every single word you were saying and have found myself in those situations again and again and again. And I did write a poem about it, so maybe we'll add that to the what section is it, Natalie?
In episode.
No, conversations.
You want to add it to
let's add it to Conversations with Spirit about surely, and getting to the end of the line and like seeing how I wanted people to save me again and again and again, and then finally I'm on this spiritual journey. So then it's like, well, certainly Spirit will save me. I'm sure Spirit's going to save me, right? Like these people, I can't rely on them to save me, but certainly Spirit will. So I really so thoroughly identifying with every single thing that you're saying and being in that situation. And I know for me, looking at, we do what we do for very good reasons also. So looking at how it benefited me to be, the benefit of going into victim is that people will come and help take care of me, and how I had developed that. And it's a hard thing to look at for yourself. But to realize that I was actually getting some power from that situation. And I was also getting the help that I actually did need, so it's really, I'm just really so identifying with everything, Candace. And I know a lot of people will.
Okay, so yeah, we've spoken before, like privately, not on a podcast, about this, and so like I feel that I'm sort of in the other extreme. So when we talked about it, like as friends last time, we were talking about this kind of looking for others to save us. The story that comes to my mind is when I suffered from PTSD after the birth of my second child, and when I did, I needed someone to save me. I was in a really, really dark place. I couldn't see the light, and every place I turned for support, like a door closed. And so I was just kind of grasping at anyone to save me. And in the end, like I can remember going to the doctors one day, and it had taken so much to like show up there and own the situation and say what the truth of what was going on was. And they just kind of dismissed me and sent me away. And I can remember coming out and just sobbing to my husband, like knowing that this was like me really like begging for help, and to just have the door closed on you just destroy me. So at that moment, I can remember it so clearly. I was just like, no one can save me. Like I have to do this myself. Like, and I knew I had to, like, ultimately I probably did. Unless I wanted to, go on medication and just then rely on that to save me. I had to go within and save myself. So I did. with the help of some people in the end. But the point is, since then, I'm really passionate about not relying on anyone else and trusting yourself and going within and not being reliant on other people. And it's something that I've tried to teach my kids, in the sense that, like, I don't want to save them. I want them to grow up trusting in themselves and knowing that they have the power to change anything. But it's funny because, you know, since that conversation, I know that, you know, I had something come up personally, and Danny kind of showed me how, in fact, it's not me like through it and more evolved. Like, it's a completely different issue on the opposite end of the spectrum. So it's like, either you're looking for people to save, or you're in my position where you don't let anyone in to save you. So when people could help you, Danny described me as like an island. I'm like doing my thing, very alone. And it's like a great big vault. So I don't kind of relate to what you're saying. And I mean, I do from the sense of where I was, but kind of where I am now. Like, I'm just like, I don't need anyone. not a good thing, but I don't need anyone.
You're slowly letting people in now.
Yeah, thank you. I am trying. Yeah.
There's a bridge to the island now. There's gates, but there's a bridge.
Yeah.
There's gates, but there's a bridge. So good.
So, I mean, you had kind of already touched on it, Danny, but I was thinking about how victim is so intertwined with wanting to be saved. Like, if you can't have it without the victimhood. You can't have it without being in that energy of victim. And really is a way to keep yourself playing small and hiding. You know, if someone is always coming in to save the day, if you always have that Prince Charming coming in and you're not believing in yourself and trusting in yourself, it's really a way to keep yourself hidden. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that we've already talked about before, like the episode, This Is Me, coming in and owning your power by looking for others to save you, you're really just keeping that space kind of sacred. You know, it allows you to give your power to other people. And I mean, I guess that's kind of opposites, right? You're giving your power away to other people, and yet you are getting control and power over others by being the victim. So I'm not sure how it can be opposites at the same time, but it kind of is. Do you guys have?
It is, yeah. It's martyrdom, right? Or right at its most extreme, it's martyrdom. Like I'm sacrificing myself, and I have the moral high ground, and I have the righteousness, and I have the control, really,
Right.
Ultimately, right?
Yes. So you get you know, you have these situations, you get the awareness about it, you realize that's not who I want to be. I don't want to be powerless. I don't want to be the victim. I want to take control of my life. I want to be in charge of my own destiny. I want to fall in love with myself. So what are some ways that we can do that? For me, recently, in this most recent experience, it was making a choice. So I realized what it was, and I decided, F this. I am not going to be the victim. I am not looking to someone else to save me. I am a strong, independent, powerful woman, and I am going to fucking do this shit on my own. And I repeated that to myself a lot. Because to go from that really, really low victim energy into like, this is me energy, it's a pretty big gap. And so I repeated that mantra to myself a lot. I am powerful. I will not be a victim. I will not be a victim. And I know that's kind of using a negative in terms of spiritual speak, and you're supposed to use positives and whatever. But that was the reminder of what I didn't want to be, and knew that I needed that, like the strength of that, rather than, oh, I want to be something. I want to be independent. I mean, yes, I do want to be independent, but it's much, much stronger for me that I don't want to be a victim. So you girls have anything that you might do or that you know about to get yourself out of save mode?
Yeah, I love what you said so much. And it is powerful to know so clearly what you don't want. And it just acts to clarify what you do want. And I don't think there's anything wrong for 1 minute about declaring out loud repeatedly what you don't want in that energy to get you to that place. Because like you said, it's not a little baby step to get from, if I'm helpless, people will do stuff for me and save me, to I'm going to do this shit on my own. and I don't need anybody else to come save me. I have all the resources I need. I have all the power that I need. I have everything right here. And I'm going to step up and do this. So like you said, Candace, I feel like you just described really the whole process for transformation, no matter what it is, which is, you said you have an awareness. So you notice, and then you make a different decision. And then you kind of affirm, you kind of build your faith on the way there. And that's really kind of, in a nutshell, that you just laid out, like the process for transformation for anything, really. And taking those steps. So I feel like that is it. Music is one of those things that will shift my energy. And this is it. This is me. Listening to music like that will help shift my energy. But like you said, you can't do anything if you don't have the awareness. And you also can't do anything if you're not ready to make the choice. Mm-hmm. Because there are some people who will have the awareness and still not quite be at the place where they're ready to make that decision.
Right.
And there can be days, months, even years where you can have an awareness and not be ready to make that choice. And so we just kind of honor ourselves kind of in the middle of that journey. But when you're there and you're like, I have the awareness and I'm making the choice, like that's like a powerful, like if you're a fighter, that's a 1-2 punch. Like your enemy is going to have a hard time coming back from that, because it's the awareness with the decision. And then just following it up with whatever helps you, which is affirmations, being around people who do it, being around people who have done it and who are supporting themselves and who are powerful, being around people who support you, being around people who put you in the energy of anything's possible. They can do it. I can do it. Being around the energy of people who believe in you specifically, who lift you up and know you and will not let you who hold that mirror and say, well, I know you as powerful, so good luck with that, other story. Like we can all dip down emotionally into a victim mode for moments at a time or whatever. And you can go for a visit, but we're not going to let you like set up your house and like live there. Like, because we don't see you as that. So you're not really that around us or whatever. Like there's a lot of things like that we can do. And I think it comes back to, again, repeated awareness. Because if we don't notice, and we can't expect ourselves to just flip the switch one day. Like you said, there's back and forth in the journey. There's always going to be, 1 step forward, 2 steps back sometimes, to have grace for ourselves. Going back to the other podcast where we're talking about expectations of self, and, where Natalie brought up expectations of self, and being easy with ourselves, being loving with ourselves, especially in transition, which is so hard. Those are all things that really help me kind of in this journey that I'm continually on, of letting go of the journey to really empowerment and to just taking full responsibility for, not for everything that's happened, but for how I react to it and how I deal with it and how I carry myself like now.
Love that.
I totally agree. I like, as you were talking, Candace, I wrote some things down as to what I did, and it literally mirrors exactly what Danny said. So it's like, first of all, it's the awareness. And then it's sort of like the acceptance of where you are and not making yourself wrong for where you are. Because I think you need to be able to embrace that before you're able to really shift it. So really allowing yourself to sit there, but like Danny says, like not making a home out of it, not, you know, knowing that this isn't permanent and not allowing it to be permanent. And then it's being ready to make a different decision. And, you know, like Danny said, like there might be a length of time before that comes about. And that's why it's so important to be okay with where you are, because until you do that, you're not going to be ready to make a different decision. And then I wrote like affirmations, like I am powerful, I am infinite, I am important. Like it's all those things. It's like that moment when I can remember exactly where I was in the car. I can remember like literally on the street where I was when I literally made that decision. So it was like when Danny said that moment is powerful when you flip that switch. I will never forget that moment. Like it was like, you know, it's put me on an island, but it's taking me out of victimhood. Who knows what will be the next thing. But and the other thing is like it's really like and it's with the presence, it's about the accepting where you are, but it's the being present with that. It's not allowing yourself to get in fear of the future. It's not allowing yourself to judge from the past. It's literally just sitting in it and being okay. And when you do that, you can then try and, you know, it's then that you're able to see that you are not willing to accept this anymore, because you're not living in that future or past. You are literally here going, this is no longer okay. I've got goosebumps. I choose to change this right now. And the other thing, as Danny said, like, so being careful about who you and what you allow in your space when you're in that time, because if you're allowing in energies that facilitate that, then, you know, the chance of you getting out is going to make it 10 times more difficult.
I'll add to, you just reminded me, and it's a really good point and it's hugely important. Both things actually. So you said embrace where you are. So for me, and I mean, when I say this was recent for me, I'm talking like this week. I'm coming out on the other end of this from, I think, like Monday. So I think it was Monday, and I realized, thanks to Danny. So the part two of what you had said is having people around you to support you and lift you up even when you're feeling bad. So I reached out to both of you, and Danny brought about some awareness of maybe what I was saying was coming from a place of victimhood, and you were absolutely correct. So that ignited the awareness. But then in addition to that, both of you gave me such loving support that it was just okay to be where I was in that moment. And I went and I laid down in my bed and I watched TV for a bit, and then I slept for 4 hours, and I woke up feeling a little bit better. But my normal go-to would have been to push through. I'm just going to push through. I'm just going to, you know, ignore the fact that I'm in victim mode. I'm going to go and find, you know, all of the experiences in the world to affirm that I'm a victim. And instead, I just accepted, you know what, I am feeling really low energy today. I am in victim mode, and I'm just going to lay down. And in doing so, it was that moment of acceptance, accepting that that's where I am, and I'm okay with that. And if I'm there for a day, fine. And if I'm there for 2 days, fine. If I'm, you know, however long it is, obviously I wouldn't really want it to go much longer than that, but whatever it is, I am okay with that, and I'm just going to be there with it, embrace it for now, and when I'm ready, push through. And the next morning, I woke up and I was like, okay, so if I'm not in save mode anymore, and I'm not in victim mode anymore, then what do I need to do? I need to take action. I need to, you know, make a business plan. I need to get this done, and I got a bunch of stuff around my house done. And, you know, it was just about, if that's not who I am, then what does that look like? If I am not a victim, what does that look like? It means I need to do X, Y, and Z. If I'm responsible for myself solely financially, what does that look like? Oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and then go do it. So a big part of that for me was just take action. Like literally just take action. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be anything big. It just needs to be action. One step, one foot in front of the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because victimhood sort of paralyzes you, doesn't it? It's like,
yes. It does. And then you're in that constant cycle. Expectation, disappointment, victim, save mode. It's all connected.
Yeah, because the momentum goes either way, right? If that's what we're feeding, then that's what the swirl, the momentum works for the negative as well as the positive. It works for pulling you kind of down deeper or allowing you to raise, higher and higher than you have been before. I love what you're saying. I love how in probably almost every podcast that we do, at some point, we come to the power of the present moment. At some moment in every podcast, we talk about this. And I just feel like it's a theme and we revisit it again and again and again. But as people who are consciously working on, the journey and evolution and increasing awareness and enlightenment, if you will, it's just one of those things that comes around, and it cannot be overemphasized, because we know all the cliches are true. Now is the only time we have. The past is an illusion. The future is a projection. We have it right now. That's why they call it the present, because but it is literally all that we have. And I love how it keeps coming around again and again and again, no matter what we're talking about. And it's such a good reminder. And the last time we brought it up, even we were like, I'm going to put it on a sticky note, like note to self, you remind me, be present in the moment. But I feel like every time we do, it's a new sticky note for my mind of the power of presence, and that all of this comes up in the present, the emotion that comes up, the trigger, the feelings, whether you're going to numb and avoid, or whether you're going to be present with it, so that that's the only way it really moves through. When we avoid and we deny, we know it gets stuck in the body energetically. And then that can manifest even physically, right? But when we're just with it and we allow ourselves to move through it, then that's where the real power is. And you can only do it in the present moment. The only time where it really, really happens for transformation or anything is in the present. And that's why when you were talking about what you do to get out of it, it's always the awareness first. It's always that moment of, look what I'm doing here.
Right.
And do I want to choose this, or do I not want to choose this? And then it's like knowing that you do have the power to choose something different. And maybe you choose something different today and then you fall back tomorrow or whatever, and giving yourself grace. But
it's always a choice.
It's always a choice. Yeah.
Love it. Yay. So did you girls have anything else to add before we close out?
No, I think it was beautiful.
Okay, so for everybody listening, you can find us at followingsoulspiration.com. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, so you can subscribe, check out our website. We've got some channeled messages on there under Conversations with Spirit, so check us out, and thanks for listening. All right, bye girls.
Bye.
Bye.